What's going on, guys? It is the post Oscars, and obviously the award show just got over. And to be honest with you, I'll start off with saying I really enjoyed it. I thought the show was pretty good. It ran smoothly. Started a little rough time wise. I missed about the first 20 minutes. I missed it the opening monologue, which I've heard good and bad about. So it is what it is type of thing. They're never really all that great and all that talked up to be. But Matt, just initial impressions of our winners right off the bat.
Yeah, I think most of them were fairly expected. Probably the most toss up for me among the big awards was going to be Best Actress. We had seen Emma Stone and Lily Gladstone kind of alternate wins throughout, and the final win goes to Emma Stone. I loved her performance. I don't. It's hard to imagine somebody with kind of a less committed performance in that role making that movie work. It's so quirky. I feel like Poor Things was a movie you either loved or you really didn't like it at all. And I loved it a lot because of her work. And she seemed genuinely choked up. There were, so many great moments. I really enjoyed the I'm Just Ken performance.
Yeah,
in there. I thought that was great. I thought the In Memoriam was pretty cool this year. The way they did it, it's always hard to tell how that's going to hit and where that's going to come. But I thought it was pretty smooth. They started an hour earlier, but just under 3.5 hours. Has to be one of the shorter Oscars.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was definitely one of the shorter Oscars. Definitely enjoyed it quite a bit. It's crazy that only 3 movies walked away with more than 2 Oscars. Oppenheimer, Poor Things, The Zone of Interest are those movies. That's definitely interesting to say the least. It was very a widespread Oscars, if you could say. What's up, Max? How are you, bud?
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yep. Yeah, I can hear you fine, man.
Awesome.
Really just a quick.
This show did not end late.
What'd you say? I know.
Yeah, I'm glad it did not end late. That's all.
I was literally on the verge of I was like, all right, I said I was going to do this. However, if this thing ends at 10:30, I was going to be like, I'm out. I don't even know if I would have made it to the end if it was 10:30.
Just because of the first 90 minutes, we only gave away 4 awards. You were worried about how I lined up.
I mean, it did. I'll tell you what. The show breezed by. I mean, I enjoyed it. I felt like this is one of the better Oscars in recent time, not just awards wise. I did think there was a lot of fun awards. All right. First question is going to be to everybody here. What was your favorite win of the night? Max, you can go first.
My favorite win of the night is, I'm looking at the wins right now. Probably Godzilla -1 for best visual effects. I think a lot of people underestimated that movie for some reason to win, but once it won, it felt very satisfying to see them, just to finally see a Godzilla movie from Japan recognized at the scale. It felt right.
It did. What up, Sam? How are you, bud?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm literally flying, still in the air.
Hey, look at that. I did not do this on purpose, Sam. I did not do this on purpose. I promise you, I did not have Best Animated up for you while you were joining the show. I just clicked this website. I know this one hurts you a lot, so he already he just jumped off because of how mad he was. You know what I mean? That's how mad he was. I didn't mean to do that. I swear to you. We're just talking. What was your favorite win of the night, Sam?
Oh, let's see. My favorite win of the night is easily Godzilla -1. Just them getting any kind of recognition with the budget that they had, with the collaboration and the impact it had, with a small amount of window to be able to get into Oscar contention. Godzilla -1 winning best visual effects was the best thing that I got from the night. But the second best would probably be American Fiction winning best screenplay. that was the other one that I was like, wow, I'm really happy and surprised by both of those, but it was a good surprise. It wasn't a lot of surprises like I was thinking, but yeah, those two were the highlights for me.
It's crazy to me because I agree. Like to me, it wasn't much. There wasn't many surprises. I went with my gut on a few of the things. I thought Barbie would be in Poor Things' position, but obviously it ended up being the other way around. I literally just like the what was it, production and costume or production and makeup. I just felt like those were and costume. I just felt like we were on the verge of either being Barbie or Poor Things. So like that's where I will say this. I got all of the short categories right. So it's only correct for me to like get other categories wrong because I feel like I'll always get the short categories. I literally went like 3 for 3 at the shorts and it was kind of annoying. I love seeing Cord Jefferson win. That was probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite win of the night. His speech was pretty awesome. Matt Fox, what was your favorite win of the night?
I think it was, it was pretty well expected, but I was happy to see Christopher Nolan win. I've loved Christopher Nolan and his films for a long time. And, as we've seen from directors we like in the past, just because you're nominated a lot or have made a lot of stuff doesn't always mean you get a win or ever get a win. And I thought his speech was pretty beautiful too, thanking them for seeing him as a valuable part of the history of film. I thought that was pretty neat.
Yeah, Nolan winning is a great win. All right, now that said, I'm gonna go back around the table here. Max, you first. What was your least favorite win of the night?
Ooh, I wouldn't say I have a least favorite win because like I haven't seen any of the short films, so I can't really comment on that. But I will say in terms of, I guess the win that impressed me the least was I loved the speech, but I wasn't necessarily drawn to Davine Joy Randolph's performance in The Holdovers as much as other people were. I thought she was fine. She was fine in the movie. I have no problem with her performance, but I feel like there were way more stronger supporting performances than her. Perhaps not in the category, but I absolutely adored Emily Blunt in Oppenheimer. I thought that performance was a real knockout, and she should have won, but whatever. I don't necessarily have
for Danielle Brooks
a really like a least favorite win. I think Emma Stone. A lot of people are going to be upset over Emma Stone winning the Oscar over Lily Gladstone. For some reason, I had predicted her winning since the Critics' Choice Awards. But then I changed at the last minute for Lily Gladstone. I shouldn't have done that. Regardless of my feelings over that weird change, I think her performance is amazing. It truly is one of the best performances of her career in Poor Things, and she is, in my opinion, very deserving of that award. It was a very strong category between Lily Gladstone, Emma Stone, and Sandra Hüller in Anatomy of a Fall.
The saddest people is going to be whoever runs Apple TV Plus's social media, because I'm pretty sure they were the ones that posted this morning that said it's her day. Finally.
Oh yeah.
And have like a video of somebody from her high school. They were ready for her to win, and that was probably
second straight Scorsese film to get shut out, though, right?
Did get shut? Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, with the Irishman.
There was quite a few.
Irishman got shut out.
Kind of got shut out. If it hadn't been for original song, Barbie would have gotten shut out.
Yeah,
even though they made so many comments about it, being the #1 box office movie and the biggest. That was probably the most disappointing for me. Not that I didn't appreciate the craft in Poor Things, but I thought Barbie would get either production design, costume design, or both. And after that happened, I was starting to wonder if they weren't going to win song either.
Yeah, there was definitely. I noticed when they started listening, I was like, "Oh, Barbie's just going to win song. That's it." The movie is far better than what the Oscar record will ever show for it. But it's crazy to think that there's only 3 movies that got multiple nominations or multiple wins. Sorry, obviously Oppenheimer with a strong 7. I mean, if I was going on disappointment, I feel like supporting actor really just. It is what it is. Robert Downey Jr. was going to win. It was going to happen. There was no doubt if it was not going to happen. But to me, I just felt like Ryan Gosling's performance is light years in its own stratosphere of performance. And we saw tonight why I believe that as well. It's not just a comedic performance. I understand. It's just every time I watch that movie, I come further and further away from that performance, just blown away by what Ryan Gosling was able to produce in that movie. He's one of the best actors I think we have, especially his versatile is second to none. The bit with him and Emily Blunt was hilarious. That entire bit was hilarious. I can't wait for Fall Guy.
That should have been the opening monologue.
That movie looks dumb as shit, and I can't wait for it. But let's see here. All right, now we're going to talk way too far in advance real quick. I want everybody to predict how many Oscars will Dune Part 2 win next year. Sam, how many think Dune Part 2 is going to win?
If they market it correctly, it should get about 6 at minimum nominations. I mean, I'm talking about sound, score, production design, VFX, possibly Best Picture. I don't know about acting. That can go hit or miss, but I think easily like 6. That they can just edge out. It just depends. Like we've seen this happen with like a lot of different films early in the year, and if they're not marketed well, like if it's not having like a push like they had for Top Gun, it's gonna be really hard by the time it gets to like award season. But it's got enough goodwill behind it that if they do it right, that they could get that marketing to work out for them.
I agree. I think if it gets to that, Billy, I think it's going to look really good. Max, nominations and wins. What do you think?
Couldn't tell you right now. It's too early to tell. Will it be a contender?
No.
Absolutely. I think it's going to campaign hard for some Oscar consideration. I did want to say you were talking about least favorite wins, and I keep remembering after that amazing performance that Ryan Gosling gave for I'm Just Ken, completely brought the house down with Slash. I was not expecting that. They awarded the Best Original Song Oscar to Billie Eilish. It's a fine song, but it doesn't have the catchiness of I'm Just Ken. I think that's my biggest disappointment as I'm thinking about that. But for Dune,
I didn't get to talk about my disappointment.
Yeah,
it's definitely going to be up there at the end of the year, but I can't say right now.
Sam, disappointment.
Mm-mm-mm.
He's gonna say Spider-Man.
You already know what my disappointment is, man.
But I'm happy Spider-Man didn't win.
Absolutely, but
So
I don't care if you're happy. But I think the disappointing thing about it for me is that the Oscars didn't really have any big surprises. I think what would have been a very pleasant surprise if Lily would have won. Or like, I don't know, Past Lives would have won for best script. You know what I'm saying? Like there's not, the disappointing factor for me is there was no real big surprises outside of Godzilla -1. I think there was a really good opportunity. They could have had some really dope surprises in this one. And it just really didn't feel like it was. It really was calling it by the numbers. I will say this, that Oppenheimer winning for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor Lead, Best Supporting Lead, that is unheard of. Like that's normally like either one, the director is capped out and they, win Best Picture, or they don't win Best Picture and the director wins. So this is really, I guess, a good positive turnaround. Like it's not the normal Oscar trope that they normally would go down that line. But yeah.
I'm tired of see, that's my thing about this is, and I'll say this, and it's happened a little bit recently, but I don't love the idea of having to split, right? I don't feel like you have to split. Like, who cares? Like, I'm sorry, if you go back to the La La Land days, they're like, well, they split it. It's cool. No, it's not that crucial of a thing. Like, you know what I mean? I don't love that Oppenheimer won Best Picture. It wouldn't have won if it was on my ballot, but Nolan winning, and then of course it winning Best Picture as well, I thought it was beautiful. I loved it. It's a good correlation. We all knew it was going to happen, but the idea that films would just have to be equally parted across the board, which if you look at it, theoretically, it really was. Like this was a peppered Oscar of multiple films across the board getting wins. Obviously, like I said, you have Oppenheimer that won 7, Poor Things that won 4, Zone of Interest won 2. outside of that, everybody won one Oscar. You know what I mean? Like it's
If they
Well, I
won
mean,
one.
Maestro and Killers of the Flower Moon and Past Lives did not win anything.
Yeah,
well, yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. But like how many categories is there? I'm trying to
it's 23.
23.
23. So you had 7.
But you have quite a few
11,
that
12,
those
13.
films wouldn't be eligible in because the shorts
So
are
10
documentaries.
Yeah, so like 10 out of
That's-
yeah, for sure. But it showed some love. You know what I mean? There was definitely some love. I do think it's sad. I love Anatomy of a Fall. I love Anatomy of a Fall. I really wanted Past Lives to win screenplay. That was probably my biggest win of the night. Past Lives, I think, is probably not probably. It was my favorite movie last year, and I was sad. It was very very sad for me. But yeah, any other?
You'll always have the Independent Spirit Awards.
Yeah, well, it's a sad day. I don't know. Let's see here. Nothing against Independent Spirit Awards.
Going back to Dune, I think the first one won 6 Oscars, if I remember, for all the technical categories. So it wouldn't be super surprising if the second one won 6 or 7, taking a lot of the technical categories too, because that's it was incredibly strong and adept in those. The question is whether it can do better in, can it get any acting nominations? I don't remember the first one getting any acting nominations. I don't think Denis
Yeah, he
Villeneuve
didn't get
got
directed.
in
No.
to director. I would bet there's a chance that he could get into director this time. And
too.
there was definitely some better performances, I thought. But it is a long ways away because you're talking about from March 1st. We've seen it happen. Obviously, it was a early March premiere for Everything Everywhere All at Once, and that was able to carry its momentum throughout the rest of the year, almost literally having to wait a year to get all of its awards.
Oh, please put the Oscars back in February. Jesus fuck, please.
But
Apparently, they
now-
wanted to put it on British Mother's Day so that
I think
everybody could thank their
I-
mothers.
I think what's great about Everything Everywhere's win is that it proves that Oscar season is not necessarily from September to like December. It could be any
Exactly.
movie can be released at any time and it could win, a year later. So
I think that's what's great about Oppenheimer too, right? Because Oppenheimer's a July movie. I mean,
big summer blockbuster. I mean, it's kind of crazy that a movie with just people talking for 3 hours was like one of the biggest blockbusters of 2023.
yeah,
Actually,
it really is.
Quite a few in the Best Picture field came out in the first half of the year. Past Lives was Sundance and then had its theatrical run in June. Obviously,
Yep.
Barbie and Oppenheimer were in the middle of July.
Can we talk about how funny it was whenever I actually did? I think I did like the actors talking about the performances or whatever, but how funny was it talking about like Annette Bening's performance? Like, come on, like it's just so
I kind of miss the movie clips, though. They go back and forth about whether they should have somebody praising the performances or showing clips. I like the clips.
It's great. I think the actors, giving their thoughts on the respective performances. I thought it was a great touch. It was very emotional. I mean, Lupita Nyong'o made Davine cry as she was
before she even hit the damn stage.
Yeah, no, it was beautiful. It was really well done. They should have also played the clips, but apart from that, it was really well done. I mean, it was. I think they should do this every single year. It makes you feel a lot more for their performances than just okay, you show the clips, it gives you a glimpse of the performance, but when you see another actor praising their work, I think it just works so much better.
And I do think what I liked what Nicolas Cage and Lupita did was talk about a nuanced part of the performance that they did. Like Divine's was she wore her grandmother's glasses. And then like Nicolas Cage was, talking about him being, he wore the eye thing so that he was blind in one eye or whatever to do the perform, like that type of thing, like added nuance to the performance. I think would be cool if they did it for like each of the performances. But I agree. I really enjoyed it. I did. I thought it was really cool. I mean, none of them was better than Lupita and Divine. I think that kind of like set the bar really high because it was kind of like just downhill from there. But it was really cool to see some of them talk about the performances the way that they talked about them. I really liked that quite a bit, actually. Let's see. I don't. This was very like it was a really strong paint by numbers night. A lot of it went the way that we thought it was going to. I mean, I guess you could say a shock in animated, but some people were predicting that. Like, I feel like anything that was. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I think anything that anybody had thought was kind of a shock had like the other film number 2, right? Like it wasn't like the 5th best film in the cat or the 5th most like talked about movie in the category actually won the award. You know what I mean? Because even Godzilla, I didn't feel like Godzilla was much of a quote unquote
I was
shock.
gonna say,
because
I don't
people
think
were
that was a
predicting it leading up
surprise.
to the Oscars, right? So
Yeah, I didn't think that was a surprise at all.
And I'm just very happy that the creator and Napoleon didn't win any Oscars. I mean, let's just be real for a minute. Like,
I didn't mind the
saying-
creator, but Napoleon. Oof.
I thought both movies stunk, even though somebody went on record and said that the creator was the greatest sci-fi movie of this century or whatever the hell they said. I don't know. Let's see here. Let's see.
It did have some pretty decent visual effects.
Yeah, it had some
I'll
good-
give them that.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I don't disagree that it did have visual effects.
I liked John David Washington in it. I just don't know if the story was incredible.
Oh, I
That
did
script
not, I
was-
did not like that movie at all.
I hated that movie so bad.
I didn't
hated
realize. I wish they would have made. I gathered when we were watching the In Memoriam, the guy that did the score for Killers of the Flower Moon died.
Yeah. Robbie Roberts.
Yeah,
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. I knew that.
Which you
yeah.
realize, like, they gave that award, and then the next thing you know, you're watching the In Memoriam. You're like, oh,
He did. Yeah. Also, the performance of this song was hilarious because, like, we could have got a third Barbie performance here. You know what I mean?
What dirt does Diane Warren have on Academy members to make her getting nominated every single time?
she's a very, very nice person. Like, she's a very, very like
Yeah.
she is. Nobody campaigns harder than Diane Warren, and I mean, good for her. But this performance, like the Killers of the Flower Moon performance was fantastic. That was just, it was really cool. This was like, and I liked John Baptiste's performance as well. I felt like 4 of the 5 performances were very, very, very solid. I like them as well. All right. I want to keep this short and sweet because I'm old, but yeah. So just any party, Max, floor is yours. Give us some party thoughts on the Oscars. Before we go.
It was actually a pretty good ceremony. I won't lie. It flowed well. John Mulaney, my goodness, what a bit! This guy should host the Oscars next year. It made up for. I'm sorry, but Jimmy Kimmel was terrible. Most of the monologue that he gave
was horrendous.
Embarrassing. Oh my goodness, the joke that he was making about Robert Downey Jr.'s past lives was so uncomfortable. It wasn't funny. Some of it was a little funny, but when John Mulaney came on stage, I was like, oh my goodness. I was drinking my water and I actually choked on it because I was laughing so hard. It was amazing. This guy should host the Oscars next year. I also want to shout out 20 Days in Mariupol for winning Best Documentary Feature. The movie, if you have not seen this film, it is available to watch for free on YouTube. It is one of the most powerful, unsettling things I have potentially ever seen. I will never watch this movie again, but I'm glad I did it to bear witness. It is a phenomenal piece of journalism first and documentary second. It's fantastic. And aside from that, most of the wins were predictable. I love the fact that Anatomy of a Fall won and that Messi was in the audience clapping at some point. That was funny. It was a pretty good, albeit too predictable evening. I think I got 18 out of 23 right, which is I think my highest score so far since I've been like predicting on Bull Derby. So I think that's pretty good. I was a little bit too overconfident that was going to make 23 out of 23, but next time maybe.
John Mulaney is one of the funniest human beings alive, and if he doesn't host next year after that, I think they're just dropping the ball completely.
They got
Fox,
to do
anything-
something other than just trotting Jimmy Kimmel out year after year.
Fox, any parting thoughts on the finals, the award show?
I liked that they moved it up an hour. I thought that was a good choice because then even if you are in the 3.5-4 hour range, like now, it doesn't feel quite as brutal. It's also weird that it came on the day where we had the time change, because not only did they move it up an hour, we were also an hour earlier than that normally was. So it felt like the Oscars went off in the middle of the afternoon, which was kind of fun. But right, I thought it was a good show. Probably one of the least surprising that we've had. Not a lot of tension with who was going to win, but I thought it was enjoyable. They made some nice changes. There were some good moments. Jimmy almost redeemed himself a little bit with his last comedy bit, courtesy of his Twitter review he received.
That was actually pretty funny. Yeah,
That was funny.
I really enjoyed the show. Obviously, the most anticipated thing I was looking forward to was the I'm Just Ken performance, the song, the entire movement that the film is. And I know there's so many people that have such an issue with the song and his popularity from it. I tell you to fuck off. But honestly, like, I just really loved the show was good. It was a breeze. I was very happy with the win. 20 Days in Mariupol, couldn't talk more about that film. Max and I have talked about it several times on Twitter, just how powerful and moving it is and how it should win everything when all of these other just no nonsense documentaries were winning awards after awards after awards, and this was just not being talked about. Cord Jefferson being an Oscar winner is phenomenal. Christopher Nolan being an Oscar winner is pretty awesome. Although I didn't like the win, Robert Downey Jr. is an Oscar winner. That's really cool. Cillian Murphy, his speech was as awkward, as weird as you would expect it to have been, because he didn't know what the hell to say. But to be honest, I loved Emma Stone's win. I loved the little La La Land remix there. For those of you who are paying attention during the I'm Just Ken performance, it made my heart very, very happy. But yeah, overall, great show. One of the more positive shows I've had in a long time. I don't overly hate the wins like last year. And by last year, I mean Brendan Fraser absolutely winning for the fucking worst performance I've ever seen in my life. But outside of that, I really enjoyed this year's show. But yeah, thanks Max. Thank Mr. Fox for chatting with me, guys. And we'll be back at some point in the near future to talk about the 97th Oscars, because we're already 3 months into the fucking year. So adios, guys.
Madam Web's year.
Madam Web's